Nikola Tesla, why Ken's wrong. Nikola Tesla is someone to whose authority Ken Wheeler constantly appeals. Find out how the inventor of alternating current became just as erratic and eccentric as the angry photographer in later life and was no longer a credible source. There's no denying that Nikola Tesla was a genius. Although he's somewhat less well known than Thomas Edison, for whom he once worked, Tesla's contribution to electrical engineering was at least as important. Ken Wheeler seems to have enormous respect and admiration for Tesla as a physicist and inventor. When he quotes Tesla in his videos, he intones like a clergyman about to quote from the most hallowed of scriptures. Tesla's greatest contribution to our modern lives was inventing alternating current, AC, in 1891. Anytime we plug in any device into a wall socket or flip a light switch, we should spare a thought for Tesla. Nikola Tesla also invented the AC induction motor and licensed it to Westinghouse. It became the basis of Westinghouse's polyphase power distribution system, and the deal made Tesla extremely wealthy for a time. Unfortunately, in later life, Tesla became increasingly erratic, and his ideas wandered off into fringe areas of pseudoscience and woo. Tesla's downfall began when he built an enormous structure called the Wardenclyffe Tower. He intended to outpace Marconi's ability to transmit transatlantic radio signals and even to distribute wireless electric power. Investors lost confidence in the project, with some even calling it a hoax. Wardenclyffe ground to a halt in 1905. Tesla's royalty money from Westinghouse ran out, and he suffered a mental breakdown. Tesla became set in his ways. He refused to believe several groundbreaking discoveries. This left him lost and left behind in the modern world he had helped to create. Ken Wheeler cites ideas that Tesla espoused during those later oddball years. For example, like the angry photographer, Tesla refused to accept that subatomic particles like protons, neutrons, and electrons could exist. Michelson and Morley had discovered that the ether didn't exist, and Heinrich Hertz had proven that electromagnetic waves propagate in a vacuum. Charles Proteus Steinmetz had called the ether hypothesis a mistake. Yet Tesla insisted that Hertz had found nothing else but effects of longitudinal waves in a gaseous medium, that is to say, waves propagated by alternate compression and expansion. He had observed waves in the ether, much of the nature of sound waves in the air. Tesla argued that space is not a vacuum, but instead, all space is filled with a gaseous substance. Tesla even believed that sound would be able to travel through the ether in outer space, and much faster. Of course, we now know that space is a virtual vacuum, and that, in space, no one can hear you scream. The aging inventor also stubbornly denied Einstein's realization that the speed of light is fixed in all frames of reference, while time is suspect. In 1915, Einstein published his theory of general relativity. His field equations showed that the presence of matter warps the fabric of space itself, causing gravity. A team confirmed this during the solar eclipse of 1919. With the midday sun blocked, the teams could measure the sun's gravity, warping the path of the light from background stars. Tesla said, "I hold that space cannot be curved for the simple reason that it can have no properties. Of properties we can only speak when dealing with matter filling the space. To say that in the presence of large bodies, space becomes curved is equivalent to stating that something can act upon nothing. I, for one, refuse to subscribe to such a view." In 2004, NASA launched Gravity Probe B to test Einstein's theories with greater accuracy. Researchers from Stanford University verified, yet again, that general relativity accurately predicts the curvature of space due to the presence of matter. Tesla denied the equation E=mc² implication that nuclear forces could release enormous amounts of energy. In an interview, he claimed, "I shattered atoms again and again, but no appreciable energy was released." This, of course, is impossible. Nikola Tesla eventually came to a humiliating and tragic end, dying alone, bankrupt, and deeply in debt in one of a long series of unpaid hotel rooms. A chambermaid discovered his remains days later. Westinghouse covered his bill. On a brighter note, more than 2,000 people attended his funeral, also funded and organized by Westinghouse. They felt they owed it to him for his early work. Summing up, Ken Wheeler is wrong to appeal to Tesla's authority to support his dubious notions about science. The angry photographer regularly shouts at his critics, "Do you think you're smarter than Nikola Tesla? Well, you're not." We don't have to be smarter than Nikola Tesla to recognize his misconceptions, conspiracy theories, and mental decline. We just have to have been born later. The aging Tesla is an ironic role model for Kentucky Ken. In later life, Nikola Tesla was behind the times, stubborn, opinionated, paranoid, egotistical, arrogant, and ultimately dead wrong. The only difference between the two men is that Tesla made a revolutionary contribution to society in his youth, while Ken Wheeler has no accomplishments to which he can point. Sad, but true.